a dark figure reveals a mysterious traveler claiming to have crossed realms and risen to power after 9 harsh years. His pen flares like celestial fire, but the bright moment meets a shocking discovery. Memories of a windriding cultivator surge back, stirring lofty wanderlust. As ambition flickers, surrounding slander pierces his mind like needles. His faith in cultivation power here suddenly becomes doubtful. Aware of his gaps, he reminds himself to restart and keep going. Walking on, he collapses, crying out 9 years of misery, seeming deranged to passers-by. Amid tears, he recalls classic cross-realm cultivation tropes tied to heaven-defying talent. The Renling Grand Assembly opens amid immortal-like clouds and jade winds, touching the spirit-root stone. Void-root shatters all his dreams. He sobs to return home, lamenting this realm crossing gone wrong. Sitting in despair, his question directly about seeking the Tao by a strange man. The question makes him look up, studying the visitor warily. Next dawn, a Kinyan Daozong atop cloud peaks. Genocai fills the sacred air. In a pure chamber, Teodoran solemnly assigns a mission, but he instantly panics, gripping the boy's shoulders and begging for help. Senior brother Su Chengyu sips tea, asking why a low-rank sect has major troubles. Te explains a new rule without 8 disciples and rank promotion in a year. The sect is erased. Su Chengyu says just recruit more. Hearing this, Te laments fierce talent competition and soaring costs that make his poverty mocked. Some sects even use beauty traps to lure new cultivators. A female disciple seductively tempts a youth to stay for dual cultivation. Suddenly he boasts of recruiting Yi Bing, who sincerely asks if a rootless man can join, and Te admits he has no other choice. He recalls Yi Bing's steadfast eyes declaring worldly gain meaningless and devotion to the sect first. After pouring his heart out, Te teases Su Chengyu, fearing Yi Bing will flee once he learns the truth. So he devised a scheme. The scheme is posing as a high sage and giving deliberately convoluted techniques to stall Yi Bing until requirements are met. Su Chengyu whistles, shrugging that this is mere bragging, nothing serious. The boy jumps up, hinting mysteriously at a nickname his peers gave him, intriguing the master. Proudly, he calls himself a formless show-off that stuns everyone. He spins like a stage performer flaunting his posture, ending with a smug chin stroke. He claims to be the region's top braggart. He laughs skyward as if enlightened, while the master darkens, doubting what's admirable. The sect master firmly reiterates the mission: keep Yi Bing for 1 year by any means. Su Chengyu raises his hand in a solid oath, confidence unwavering. Te sighs at his boastful disciple, who keeps praising himself for how easy this task is. Puffing his chest, he adds they must instill in Yi Bing the belief that only Qingjin is home. He looks up like a noble master, earning his teacher's praise for signature exaggeration. He pounds his chest, vowing to eat his sword with soy sauce if he fails. Smug, he bows to leave, saying hell wait at the back mountain. The master agrees and tells him to ride his sword home. Su Chengyu immediately refuses the escort. He winks, boasting is changed and needs no protection now. He strikes a super me-expert pose in the courtyard. Te stares, realizing something odd. He thinks it resembles a famed move often heard in Silent Nights. Su Chengyu channels force skyward, acting unfathomable. Te exclaims it looks like profound sword arts. He can't believe it since the boy failed basic sword drills for 10 years. Silence stretches across the space. Master and the nearby birds stare at him in wary disappointment. Su Chengyu scratches his head, admitting he overacted and asks for escort. The master face palms. Night falls as he stands atop the back mountain, robes flying like an aloof immortal. But beneath the grandeur he shivers, curling inside fancy armor to save face. Choosing a windy spot for mystery, he didn't expect cold strong enough to ruin his aura with sneezes. A soft sound rises, making his heart pound. His target has arrived. He braces on his sword, inhaling to display sage-like bearing. Meanwhile, Yi Bing climbs up exhausted, inwardly admiring this extraordinary immortal. The scene etches into his memory for life. Before Yi Bing stands a graceful figure, robes drifting like from an immortal dream. The figure whirls, eyes sharp as a blade sweeping over Yi Bing. Yi Bing freezes, enamored by Su Chengyu's lofty stance. Suddenly Su Chengyu draws a gleaming sword, stunning Yi Bing as if seeing divine steel. Yet a strange foreboding rises within him. He wonders why a sect accepting a rootless disciple like him has someone this exceptional. The doubt deepens. How could a small sect birth such transcendent poise? A thunderbolt thought hits Yi Bing, shaking him entirely. Perhaps the sect only pretends to be ordinary but is actually a hidden power. The more he analyzes, the more it fits. Every member must be a concealed master. Any of them could lift him to the heavens with a finger. He recalls the desolate scene on arrival. Like an abandoned yard, he ignored it then, but now finds that decay strange for a cultivation sect. Yet he noticed every corner, though ruined, was spotlessly clean with thick moss. This contradiction convinces him the sect is hiding its true identity. After overthinking, Yi Bing cheers excitedly, leaving Su Chengyu stunned. With shining eyes, he praises flamboyantly that even heaven's swords bow to senior brother. Su Chengyu gestures mystical power, eyes glinting with pleasure at the flattery. He replies sincerely, offering the junior a rare opportunity. Then he bursts ki to form an illusory halo like shaking heaven and earth. Yi Bing stares wide-eyed at the rotating crystal-like lights. Su Changju solemnly introduces himself as the senior brother and flaunts a miraculous talent-boosting secret art. Hearing the truth, Yi Bing's eyes blaze as if a heaven-sent chance fell on him. He bows in deep thanks, full of reverence, while Su Changju hides his aching arm and feigns calm. Inside, he sneers those miracles were just cold wind, nothing profound. Su Changju sits solemnly, saying he'll ask one question before teaching the Tao, and once Yi Bing imagines ancient tests from old tales, Su Changju sternly presses in your view, what is the sword's ultimate end? After asking, he smirks, thinking this riddle will stump anyone. Yi Bing enters a life-or-death exam mode, pondering the mystical query, then joy sparks he believes has reached a true master's trial. He gazes at Su Changju with reverence. Knowing he must answer with depth, he mutters for insight. As clutches of 10-step kills don't suit a hidden sect. Meanwhile, Su Changju grows feverish waiting. Cold wind lashes him, making him want to shout at Yi Bing to just answer already. Finally, Yi Bing scratches his head to me. The sword's end is a blade of grass that can cut the stars. The line stuns Su Changju like thunder. He imagines plucking a blade of grass and cleaving sun and moon. The thought genuinely overwhelms him. He curses inwardly 20 years of sword practice and has never heard bragging like this. Seeing his twisted expression, Yi Bing anxiously asks if he went too far, but Su Changju applauds inwardly, deeming Yi Bing a fellow exaggerator. He jumps up thumping his chest, praising the junior's spirit. Yi Bing beams back. Then Su Changju draws his sword, silver light bursting as he grins, ready to stage a world-shaking act. He casually swings, carving a deep, lightning-bright slash into the stone. As Yi Bing gapes, he turns away, arms crossed, saying he leaves this sword mark as guidance. The mark seems ordinary, but he describes it as containing supreme intent and says he'll test comprehension in 7 days. Yi Bing glows with joy, convinced a hidden master has blessed him. Su Changju then sprints down the mountain to find the second junior for the next act. While running, he hears a clear call, senior brother. A girl bright as spring sunshine runs up asking about the new disciple's talent. He teases her for secretly watching. She cheerfully admits it. Suddenly he wants to try his new bragging trick on her. He speaks gravely, telling her to delay that question, leaving her wide-eyed. Then he asks loftily, do you know what surpasses the sword's ultimate end? She freezes, baffled by the sudden sword talk. Seeing her confusion, he strikes a Taoist pose and says the ultimate end is a blade of grass that shatters the stars. Her eyes sparkle as if watching an immortal perform Tao arts. She laughs, praising his showmanship's new level, and he poses in response. After the fun, she seriously repeats her original question, piquing his curiosity. He repeats it, how long will the junior need to grasp sword intent? But he stays serious only a moment before admitting he has no idea. Earning her sad scolding, her eyes clearly say, are you teasing me? Back with Yi Bing. After 2 hours on the back mountain, he keeps studying the sword mark. He watches intently, eyes never leaving the cut, but he sees only an ordinary slash and wonders if he was fooled. As doubt flickers, he scolds himself, blaming only his weak cultivation. He leans close to inspect every detail. Convinced it hides deep clues, he vows to persist and never give up. Suddenly, a sword figure appears in his mind. The figure wields a longsword with fluid techniques. Each cold slash shakes his heart. The echoing moves ring like golden bells. The 12-form sword art unfolds like swirling wind. He feels himself merge into each motion as if training personally. The vision repeats as he counts each strike. 1 form lifts the sky. 2 forms arc like stars sweeping the night. The rhythm grows ever faster like a storm. 12 leaps to 15. Soon it surpasses 20. At its peak, momentum crashes in like a mind-tearing gale. He stands frozen, eyes locked on the stone slash, baffled, his certain this is senior brother's handiwork. Even a breeze becomes a chance to raise talent, proving his brother's greatness. Moved to tears, he blames himself for once doubting him. He breathes deep, staying calm, sure the mark holds countless secrets. Time flies, it's now his full 7th day in the sect. Meanwhile, in Su Changju's room, ornaments pile up like a noble stash. He picks a splendid hairpin to wear. Clad in robes, he steps out with relaxed elegance. With a slight smile, he praises the perfect weather for showing off. Then he leaves, flaunting his aura toward the junior. Dawn dim, he crosses a wooden bridge through thin mist, but each step grows heavy. He pants. Regretting the location he chose, he grumbles why people think sword Tao is as easy as candy. He recalls the junior girl joking that even he doesn't grasp sword intent. She laughed because after 10 years he still understood nothing of sword Tao's essence. Her tease made him flare up. He knocked her head and scolded that sword arts aren't simple. He sternly explained he practices the top-tier 4th undersword once used by Gai Darn. Famed across Qingzhou, he stressed its yang might cycles through 4 seasons, and mastery can shift heaven's hues. Each season has 4 stages: entry, proficiency, peak, and extreme. She admired him and asked what stage has at. Proudly he said Spring Thunder reached proficiency at 18 moves. But she mocked him, making him spring up, arguing Hez among Qingzhou's elite, by realm, has finished Spring Thunder and believes he'll break the other 3 seasons to reach great completion, then extreme within 100 years. He declares shall see his true strength then. She curiously asks what level one reaches if they comprehend sword intent themselves. He compares, saying one who grasps sword rhythm makes every move uniquely theirs. He adds that the essence of sword Dao lies in sword intent, elevating even simple forms, but the 3-tier Honga sword intent is so hard that across the 10 kingdoms only one reached half-step. Honored as ex-Shujutsun, Shikutsun, only wanting to know what rank they'd stand at if they happened to grasp sword intent. He asserts it's impossible, even the strongest prodigy in 500 years couldn't touch boundless sword intent. Back in the present, he climbs the stone steps of Hunshin Peak, feet heavy. Reaching the pavilion, he mutters, wondering if the junior is awake. Before him, Yi Bing is bent low studying the sword mark. The youth's eyes are dark-ringed from many sleepless days. He is stunned, unable to believe the sight. Seeing that exhaustion, he panics, guilty that the junior stared at the mark for 7 days. The sight makes him feel utterly useless. He sighs in remorse, vowing to make it up to the boy for suffering for the sect. Suddenly Yi Bing jumps up, joyfully greeting him. Su Changji regains his cold look, asking about training progress. Yi Bing proudly reports, and he offers routine comfort. When realizing the detail of understanding, he freezes and asks again. Yi Bing respectfully says he comprehended 400 sword forms. Su Changju stares closely at him. Inside he laughs, certain the boy is bragging about the random slash he made. He curls his lip, finding it ridiculous. Yi Bing mistakes the smile's higher approval. Thinking 400 moves are tiny to him, he grows more touched, blaming himself for being inferior to such mastery. He feels like crying, thinking his results are too poor. Su Changju gently says not a fabricate failing to comprehend is normal, but Yi Bing insists it's true, making him angry. Thinking the boy stubbornly lies, trembling, Yi Bing thinks is being scolded because even 400 moves aren't worthy, bowing with shame. He says he only achieved that thanks to the senior's bestowed chance. Su Changju grows more suspicious, thinking the boy belittles sword Dao. Old memories of being looked down on surge, truly upsetting him. He coldly orders the boy to demonstrate all the moves to verify, planning to teach him a lesson. Unexpectedly, Yi Bing agrees instantly. Surprising him, he expects the bragging to collapse soon. In the misty dawn, Yi Bing draws his sword and begins the first move. He focuses entirely on that opening stroke. The blade sweeps sideways, then flows smoothly into the next. The moves stream like rolling water. Already 36 crisp strikes. Su Changju stands frozen, disbelief turning into shock like witnessing a miracle. The more he watches, the more the boy's speed and force surpass comprehension. Past move 36, the boy launches fiercer sequences. Suddenly Thunder Kai erupts, bright as a falling sun. In an instant is counted 108 forms. Then a thunderclap shakes the sky, lightning weaving a world-trembling curtain. A dragon-like roar echoes exactly like the dream sounds he heard for years. He chokes for breath. This is spring thunder, great perfection. His lifelong dream, what he treasured, his ultimate aspiration, the boy achieved in 7 days. He gapes, mind blank. Another dragon roar, summer thunder, great achievement manifests as a blue lightning dragon. Before it fades, autumn thunder's dragon image follows. 2 seasons reaching great perfection at once defy all imagination. The boy's sword momentum doesn't wane but surges like a raging storm. Gold-blue sword beams weave so densely he can't even discern the blade's shape anymore. Then the sword key condenses into a distinct form. It is Donglei Extreme Realm, the strongest tier of the 4 thunders. The chill from the move makes anyone shiver. His whole body numbs as if frozen, feeling heaven and earth shatter. A move 432. The boy finally sheathes his sword, breath still surging. He is petrified, unable to grasp how the boy mastered the whole set in 7 days. He stands stone as still, eyes locked on Yi Bing, heart racing. The boy reached full perfection in all 4 seasons of Sword Dao. Yet he keeps muttering, thinking is constrained by the sword itself. A spark of insight flashes and he decides to break that limit. He distinguishes mortal swords from Imperial Grade ones. Enlightenment flares in his eyes and his aura rises. Golden light pours out like rivers of molten gold. A blasting roar makes the world flash. Nearly blinding him, he screams inwardly one move and the boy comprehends even more unbelievable. The atmosphere now contrasts sharply with Dong Lia's annihilation. Life force surges like a sprout breaking ground. It expands like an ancient tree growing in an instant. He sees the invisible sword line as if heaven and earth merge into it. A single swing could sweep away armies. Suddenly he jolts. This is the sign of sword intent. His eyes bulge, jaw drops, body stiffens. Then the sword kai slowly disperses. Yi Bing sighs that the profound feeling faded too fast. He laments being too weak to hold it longer. Hearing that strikes him like a blow to the skull. He recalls witnessing Jianzun display an almost identical intent seen years ago. He is certain this is boundless sword intent, a tier for supreme geniuses of the 10 kingdoms, seen as silence. Yi Bing fears the senior is disappointed with his tiny achievement. He grows even more horrified, feeling he cannot compare to even a fragment of the boy's talent. Determined to cling to him, he forces a profound tone, pretending the boy's feats are mundane. But inside he screams from the painful gap in strength, while the boy grows even more self-doubting. Suddenly his eyes fall on something glinting by a rock. He asks in surprise what it is. Yi Bing picks it up, just a notebook of insights from training, and shyly hands it over. As pages turn, he feels a whole new world opening, full of unheard truths. Yi Bing respectfully explains each spring thunder or summer thunder section hides deep Tao he gleaned from the sword mark. The words leave Su Changyu reeling as if seeing the night cosmos unfold. Each idea is familiar, yet woven together into a system unfathomably deep. He asks in shock if he ever said such things. Yi Bing quickly insists it's only the surface notes. He is so stunned he can't comprehend a word, suspecting the boy is a monster who grasped Tao from nothingness. His 10 years earned mere entry level, while 7 days brought the boy to perfection and even to sword intent. He wants to kneel and lament his fate. After the shock, he forces calm, tells the boy to continue comprehending, and walks away heavily. Yi Bing stands worried. The senior is displeased by his weakness and intends to abandon him. He despairs, recalling all past rejections, fearing being cast out again. Memories of 50+ refusals for being rootless flood back. Cutting deep, he wonders if any sect would ever accept him. He lifts himself up, determined to seize this chance at all costs. In a quiet place, Taiwo Zenrin relaxes, enjoying the scenery. He drinks tea, admiring mountains and praising the fine weather. A sudden scream makes him nearly drop his cup. Su Changyu rushes in, panicking about a major event. He says the master's dream may have come true. The sect has birthed a true dragon. Taiwo Zenrin freezes, voice trembling as he asks what that means. Su Changyu solemnly reports the junior went from nothing to full Four Thunder mastery in 7 days. Taiwo Zenrin is half doubtful, while he confirms it proudly and in shock. The words rile the master. He scolds him for nonsense and demands an explanation for the sky's anomalies. Hearing this, the master straightens as if waking from a trance. He recalls the phenomenon he saw, assuming it was some expert advancing, not Yi Bing. Then he bursts into tears and laughter. Overjoyed, a genius has finally appeared in the sect. Overexcited, he nearly faints, forcing Su Changyu to hold him. The master calms himself with cold water, fearing joy might kill him early. Su Changyu worries keeping the boy may wrong him, but the master says no one else wanted him anyway. He says fate brought the boy here and other great sects might fail to protect such talent. He insists he isn't greedy and will tell the boy the truth once the sect rises in rank so he can choose freely. Su Changyu is enlightened and bows in agreement. Next day, Taiwo Zenrin enjoys a peaceful afternoon. Su Changyu again bursts in with big news, nearly making him choke on tea. He stammers that another serious issue arose. The master freezes, mind racing, terrified, thinking debt collectors came. He runs all the disciple chases, saying it's not debt. Hearing that, Taiwo stops, pale, sighing in relief. He kicks him angrily for scaring him half to death. Calm returns, the scenery peaceful as if nothing happened. He sips tea and asks what the big issue is. Su Changyu hands him a paper. It's a notice to review weak sects and demand 10 low-grade spirit stones for clear inspection. Hearing the fee, he turns pale as if struck by lightning. Furious, he flips the table, shouting that it's unjust oppression. In the cultivation world, money and treasures vary wildly in value. 1 low-grade spirit stone equals a huge amount of gold. Taiwo laments the sect saved all year to gather 10 stones. Seeing his collapse, Su Changyu asks how many stones remain. Taiwo blushes, raising 7 fingers, whispering that's all. He assumes 7 stones and relaxes, but the master immediately denies. He guesses down to gold, silver, but the master stays grim. At last he admits only 70 copper coins remain. Su Changyu yells in shock, unable to believe a sect can be this poor. Ashamed, Taiwo confesses they once had funds but were tempted by a new investment. Su Changyu freezes, not understanding what cultivation fund that was. The master explains it was a high-yield deposit, rumored profitable, but the founder ran off with all capital after a few days. Saying this, he bursts into tears, hugging Su Changyu, begging comfort for being cleaned out. He reels at the losses, his funds drained and his faith in Qin Yun Dao shattered. Even thinking of disbanding the sect, though exhausted, his Shizen insists on taking responsibility, ready to wander to protect this rare seedling. Despite the disciples' mocking gaze, a strange radiance bursts in the sky, startling both to look back. Su Changyu pales and shouts toward Dai Bin's place, asking if the junior has broken through again. Taiwo denies it, claiming the anomaly is unrelated to any genius and likely just random lightning. He hurriedly prepares to descend the mountain to borrow spirit stones, assigning duties to his senior disciple and warning him to watch the junior carefully. In the fading dawn light, Su Changyu bows solemnly and reassures his master firmly. 7 quiet days pass on the lonely cliff. Dai Bin immerses himself in a blazing sword path, his sharp moves slicing the air. His agile figure spins, leaving layers of golden afterimages like a heavenly net. On the peak, Su Changyu silently watches from early morning without revealing himself. He is secretly shocked, feeling crushed by the absurd rate of progress. When he stops, Dai Bin instantly senses someone observing him. He greets respectfully, and Su Changyu replies softly while asking about his cultivation. The youth reports he has grasped over 1,460 sword forms, slow but steady. The statement stuns Su Changyu, who realizes he underestimated him again. Remembering his master's words, he sternly warns that these achievements are only the entrance. True hurdles are sword ki and sword intent. Hearing this, Dai Bin turns pale, while Tuchenju thinks he has exaggerated enough to slow the boy's comprehension. Suddenly, Daibin bluntly asks his senior's current realm. Tuchenju freezes, staring at the sky. Speechless, he then feigns fatigue, boasting he has just reached first tier of the supreme Tao of the sword legendary sword intent. Inside he laughs proudly, while Daibin gazes in awe, treating him like a deity. Tuchenju keeps acting profound, explaining the 3 supreme tiers and exalting the first as a hegemon of 10 nations. Daibin marvels and even concludes his senior is already the strongest in the 10 countries. He dreams of climbing the ranks himself, hoping ancestral blessings will let him follow his senior's path. Fired with resolve to pursue infinite sword intent, he vows gratitude, leaving Tuchenju inwardly wailing. Thinking of his recent mundane life, Daibin feels this fortune has changed his fate. Gazing at the crimson sunset, he vows to train hard among clouds and live a pure swordal life. Tuchenju frowns, scrutinizing the youth before him. He slowly asks about past studies, and Daibin humbly admits he was just a mediocre art lover. Tuchenju brightens, patting his shoulder and asking him to paint a piece to show off someday. He feels smug, imagining others envying him for owning a future one sword cultivator's artwork. Daibin hesitantly agrees, claiming his brushwork is mediocre. He recalls joining a drawing club to chase an unrequited love. 3 years of practice only led to her choosing a wealthier man. The loneliness once made him want to hide and cry in the dark. Back to the present, Tuchenju stands modeling until numb, while Daibin keeps drawing with full focus. He glances at the disciple, secretly praising his serious and impressive demeanor. After a while, Daibin shyly offers the painting, asking for understanding. Tuchenju excitedly receives it, ready to enjoy it leisurely. On opening it, he freezes at the extraordinary lines far beyond expectation. The sunset is rendered brilliantly, coloring the entire scene. Mount Kinjin appears ethereal like an immortal realm. Every plant and leaf looks vividly lifelike. Most striking is his own portrait, cold and sharp like a transcendent swordsman. It feels as if the figure is about to step off the page and unleash a strike that would force viewers to retreat. Tuchenju nods, lamenting that the brush cannot capture his true handsomeness. Daibin beams with joy and thanks him respectfully. Suddenly Tuchenju exclaims in surprise. Beside the painting is the prominent phrase Kingly and Cushy. He teases his junior for giving himself an elegant style name. At that moment, Taiho's voice transmission orders him to return immediately. He frowns, wondering if his master truly found a way out of the financial crisis. He says he will keep the painting. Daibin agrees happily, and he leaves still worried. In Chengzhou, the Taeyang sword sect shakes under a sky-splitting dragon roar. A massive red dragon closes its jaws and shoots skyward like a fairy slash. At Enlightenment Sword Cliff, red lightning strikes, illuminating meditating disciples. A youth cries out at the supreme sword power of the patriarch. A nearby girl scoffs, saying such ordinary sword marks can enlighten elites. Suddenly red lightning crashes down, shaking the region violently. A young man throws back his head, shouting after grasping a principle. He roars that even perfect completion is merely this level. Another disciple admires him, exclaiming he has achieved Spring Thunder Sword great mastery. The girl sighs that geniuses need 3 years for that, yet Tu Hang broke the record in 1. Not far away, 3 elders watch intently, eyes filled with calculation. One congratulates Ming Jian for obtaining such talent and hopes Tu Hang wins the tournament. Ming Jian smiles proudly but pretends humility, saying it's nothing great. Another elder snorts, saying it's far too early to talk about being number 1. The next agrees, stressing his own disciple is stronger and hasn't even needed to break through. Elder Chen hears the mockery and bursts into anger. The third elder quickly mediates, reminding them the goal is simply to reach the top 10 by the sect master's order. The other 2 are startled and ask why. He explains the top 10 reward is a token to enter the Taixuan Sword Tower. Both are stunned speechless. He adds meaningfully that they surely know the weight of passing the Sword Tower. Ming Jian laughs excitedly, declaring his master-disciple pair will definitely secure a top 10 slot. Elder Chen coldly warns not to let some small sect overtake them, or they'll be shamed. Ming Jian and his junior burst out laughing, vowing that if anyone outside the 3 great sects surpasses Tu Hang, he'll stand upside down and urinate for a year. Meanwhile at Kinyan Dao sect, the sect master's room receives a request for updates. Taho opens his luggage full of strange items unclear as treasures or trash. Tuchenju is stunned by the mess, horrified at how his master intends to solve finances with such things. Taho calmly says he'll pawn these items since there's no other way to save the sect. Hearing this, Tuchenju blushes and protests fiercely, while Taho softly begs for his help one last time. As he turns to leave, the master notices the painting he carries and asks what it is. Before he explains, Taho snatches it and runs, saying he must pawn it, making Tuchenju scream for it back. The next morning, they appear at a pawn shop in Qingzhou. As they enter, the shopkeeper greets them warmly like immortals. He asks buy or sell. Taiho boasts he brought only treasures. The shopkeeper brightens, expecting supreme-grade artifacts. He opens the luggage eagerly, but seeing the rotted junk inside, he freezes like stone. A book with a sultry girl on the cover even falls out. He jumps, throws it down, and yells, thinking they brought trash and banned books. Tahoe panics, realizing it's his beloved limited Orander edition, and hides it, refusing to sell it at any price. Changju teases him, asking to borrow it, and Tahoe awkwardly agrees. Then he confidently offers 10 gold taels for the pile, enraging the shopkeeper at the absurd price. Tahoe fumes, insisting the golden-toed silk seat pad is genuine. While the owner coldly invites them to try elsewhere, he lowers it to 8.2 taels, trying to be friendly, but the owner still refuses. Pushed down repeatedly, Tao snaps and finalizes 5 taels, where he walks. Changju sighs beside him, urging him to stop before losing all dignity. At that moment, the owner notices the painting and asks to see it. On opening it, he screams, recognizing priceless Qiang Xuanzi paper. Scolding them for joking despite being wealthy, Tahoe is confused, not knowing how expensive the paper is. The owner confirms the paper alone is worth over 10 gold taels. Seeing the kingly and cushy inscription, he is even more shocked. His face freezes like stone. He urgently calls Xiaoli to discuss something vital. Tahoe stands lost, not understanding anything. The two whisper nonstop as if they found a treasure. Xiaoli double-checks, and the owner firmly confirms it's unmistakable. The owner returns respectfully, saying they must invite the honored elder to appraise it and asks them to wait. The master and disciple, puzzled, agree. A moment later, the owner asks the elder if he can afford to buy this hidden masterpiece. Changju protests in shock, saying his junior painted it, but Tahoe covers his mouth and shouts for silence. Then he names his price, raising 5 fingers for one single number accept or they leave. He hides a smirk, sure he can bluff 50 taels. The elder frowns and ponders for a long time. Changju pulls his master aside, whispering that such a price is insane. But Tahoe mysteriously says this is strategy. Unexpectedly, the elder nods sharply, agreeing to 5,000 taels. Tahoe beams, patting Changju and bragging about his masterful tactic. But then he freezes, hastily asking again, thinking he misheard the colossal sum. The steward spreads 5 fingers wide, confirming 5,000 and reminding them of the prior agreement. Tahoe suspects a scam, his face darkening as he angrily questions them. The steward hurriedly denies it, vowing respectfully that the pawnshop never cheats. Changju is stunned, wondering why his junior's casual painting is priced so high. He glances at his sect master, urgently urging him to accept before losing the chance to save the sect. Tahoe Zenrin suddenly raises the price to a shocking level, saying they misunderstood him. Changju gapes in disbelief at the uttered 50,000. The master sweeps his hand boldly, declaring that price absolute and non-negotiable. Changju stands frozen, baffled why his teacher pushes such an absurd price. The shop elder laughs, slapping the table, praising them as true connoisseurs. Stroking his beard, he says such a number isn't excessive for kingly and cushy. The two freeze like statues, stunned that 50,000 is considered reasonable. Tahoe panics at overinflating, suspecting hidden secrets behind the piece. The sect master forces himself to stay calm. He coolly claims he has checked prices elsewhere, implying the value is known in the art trade. Changju is lost while the elder says that name is widely known in the field. It turns out Kingly and Cushy is famed in Jin Nation as a top literary talent. Not only is his calligraphy supreme, his painting skill is even greater. Countless Jin maidens adore his works, gazing at them all day, some even sleep embracing his artwork. The elder adds that even proud scholars imitate his unique style, sparking a brilliant artistic era. But when his masterpieces were discovered, he had already gone into seclusion. No one has ever seen the true face of this renowned recluse. The elder sighs that few disdain worldly fame like he does, earning deeper respect. The master and disciple go numb, while Changju fears this genius might be his clueless junior. Before he recovers, his master pretends to agree, making the elder fully believe and reveal portraits are less valuable than landscapes. Changju awkwardly jokes that his looks didn't raise the price. Tahoe scolds him via voice transmission, saying the value gap is huge. He panics and begs the master to calm down. The elder grits his teeth, saying the loss is at least several tens of thousands. Hearing this, Tahoe glares at his disciple like he'd eat him, forcing Changju to placate him quickly. Tahoe suppresses anger and urges a valuation, then he offers 10,000 since it lacks poetry and landscape. Before finishing, Tahoe accepts instantly, stunning the elder while acting magnanimous. After receiving the money, the pair immediately flee the shop. On the way, Changju wonders why not try another shop. Tahoe says it's enough and they must stop at the right time. He reminds him their strength is too weak, exposure means doom, and fine jade brings disaster. Changju admires him deeply, while Tahoe feels proud of his own cunning. Both look at the banknote, rejoicing like singing a life-changing tune. Tahoe raises the money, delighted by the unprecedented sum and certain the sect will revive. But mid-joy he scolds his disciple for drawing a portrait and losing tens of thousands, leaving Changju wailing an injustice. After venting, Tahoe ponders the junior's mysterious identity and what he might be hiding. He suspects the Qianji issue, thinking the junior must have hidden circumstances even he may not know. Tahoe Zenrin believes the kid isn't pretending and decides to keep the secret until the boy speaks himself. Changju is surprised by this rare seriousness, thinking the master would scam more paintings, and asks where they're headed. The master says he wants to prepare proper thanks for the junior's contributions. Puzzling Tuchenju further, soon they stop before a luxurious building. Tuchenju panics it's the largest trade guild in Jingo City. Taiho insists on entering to invest in the sect genius, saying he's low-class but clear-headed when needed. He fantasizes about the sect rising non-stop thanks to that boy. Tuchenju worries about the high prices, but the master waves the banknote confidently. Then he strides in, telling his disciple to act rich. Two reception girls greet them warmly. Their beauty makes Taiho blush, widening the contrast to the pawnshop. One asks if they want artifacts or manuals. Taiho demands the highest grade. She presents first-grade manuals costing tens of thousands, discounted to 70%. Tuchenju trembles and asks again. She emphasizes the huge price while calling it cheap. He is shocked, feeling the gap between rich and poor is beyond his world. Taiho voice transmits for calm, but he replies they can't afford even one. Taiho calmly asks the price for beginner-level versions, startling him. The girl says embarrassed that entry manuals are too low to be in demand. Taiho insists on the price, ignoring her persuasion, and she says they're much cheaper. Tuchenju pulls him back, but Taiho snaps, trusting fully in the junior's monstrous comprehension. This wakes Tuchenju, recalling how the junior grasped an entire sword set from one move. He changes attitude, agreeing via voice transmission that beginner manuals are treasure for that genius. Soon she brings 3 entry-level techniques, and Taiho asks which is strongest. She explains Chuanhe's sword art is strongest and may lead higher if comprehension is high, but its beginner price is 9,000 taels, stunning Taiho. Still, he decisively buys it to invest in talent. Then he spends the rest on top-grade pills despite protests. Tuchenju looks at him with entirely new eyes. He jokes the master seems possessed, while Taiho hugs the banknote painfully until the girl reminds him to let go. Leaving the shop, he keeps lamenting the lost money, shaming Tuchenju. Suddenly he remembers the 2nd and 3rd juniors will join alchemy and formation exams. Tuchenju confirms, thinking he wants to buy more, but Taiho says they're broke and will go to a treasure spot. They turn into a street stall selling manuals by weight 12 taels per caddy. The stall owner urges them to weigh a few caddies. Tuchenju doesn't understand why this cheap place is called a treasure trove. Taiho pats him, explaining true treasures once hid among such cheap piles. Stunning him, Taiho haggles fiercely until the owner agrees to sell 5 caddies. Tuchenju stares at the bizarre titles in disbelief. Names claiming miraculous powers make him even more confused. He blurts out that the strangeness far exceeds imagination. Remembering his master's warning, he doubts these will produce anything but trouble and swears hell eat them if they work, while the master hugs the spoils triumphantly. He feels lost, unsure what madness is following. He asks if the master bought anything for himself. Taiho boasts morally that as long as the sect thrives, has satisfied. Tuchenju scoffs at the false righteousness, angering the master into demanding he grasp Chuanhe's sword art in 7 days. Taiho shouts he must learn it to pretend to be a sage teaching the junior, while Hell used the cheap books as props. Tuchenju worries whether the junior can understand the junk texts. Taiho sneers that he thinks their precious arts come from street stalls. He explains most stall books are mere adaptations, not true techniques. He shows one book nothing like orthodox manuals, only for fooling the gullible. When asked why he bought them for the 2nd and 3rd juniors, Taiho says he was joking there to be hidden in the library as decoys. He laughs loudly, claiming if anyone gains enlightenment from this trash, hell eat it all. Tuchenju suggests tricking the junior into drawing more paintings to buy manuals for the other 2. Taiho sighs he used the boy once and won't turn him into a money tree, saying relying on paintings cheapens the sect's future. He frowns, lamenting his moral dilemma. Then he orders Tuchenju to teach sword to Daibin for 2 months for the Kingzhou sword trial. Tuchenju panics, thinking he misheard. He warns the junior's monstrous comprehension but weak inner force makes danger likely. Remembering his own experience at the Genius-backed event, he finds sending Daibin too risky. Taiho says hell explain later and demands absolute secrecy from the sect. At the back mountain, Daibin keeps swinging his sword tirelessly. Sword flashes cut the air in dazzling arcs. Tuchenju watches from afar, moved, then approaches to ask about training. Daibin happily greets his senior. Tuchenju acts mysterious, asking if he's bored of constant practice. Daibin honestly says he progresses daily, so never bored. The reply pains Tuchenju. Realizing his inhuman level, he hints that if bored, he'll give new manuals for variety. Daibin immediately hugs him, saying he's actually very bored. In his heart, a cultivation manual will boost his progress like wind has thrilled. Tuchenju presents a book titled Tegu Shenmoju with solemnity. Its cover shows a beast spewing light, looking extremely fierce. Daibin widens his eyes, sure a Godaman manual must be supreme. He trembles with joy, convinced the sect houses hidden masters. Seeing his excitement, Tuchenju fabricates that it's a body-tempering art found in ancient ruins. He advises that with poor spiritual roots, body training will support Swordo. Inside he feels ashamed, knowing his spouting nonsense. Finishing the act, he retreats quickly to avoid exposing flaws. Turning away, he eagerly anticipates mastering 20 sword art to keep pretending. Under the moonlight, Daibin remains fully absorbed in relentless sword practice. While executing moves, his mind shifts to the Shenmoju. The technique feels like an echo from antiquity. Shaking his heart, has enamored with its domineering name, thinking it surpasses the Fourth Under sword art. Though eager to train it, he forces himself to finish Fourth Under first. Next morning in Tuchanji's room, he sits seriously studying the beginner manual. But the more he reads, the darker his face becomes. He understands nothing. Meanwhile, at the back mountain, Daibin swings his sword in storm-like force. His moves grow fiercer, each wave of swordlight suffocating. After half a day, he has mastered the whole Fourth Under set. Continuous practice exhausts him. He leans on his sword, panting. His sweat-soaked face shines. Only the Fourth Under sword intent remains. He approaches the manual, reminding himself to be cautious to avoid deviating from Sordo. He guesses his senior waited for the right moment to stop him from acting rashly. He reveres Tuchanji's foresight like a guiding radiance. He respectfully opens the manual and studies. Reading Mo Huang's introduction, he feels shaken to the core. He learns the method arose from fusing heaven and earth. The more he reads, the more he imagines a powerhouse teaching body cultivation Tao. That figure claims supreme body training can overturn the cosmos. Daibin is shocked by the idea of a world-ending punch. He reads on and learns training requires extreme suffering. He smiles, accepting the trial, eagerly turning the page. Suddenly he sees a bizarre diagram. He remembers the instruction to study the Godaman posture carefully. He frowns. The pose is awkward and strange. Still, he bends his body to mimic it, refusing to falter. His face reddens with effort, but his will stays firm. He reminds himself to focus fully to grasp the art. Scene shifts to Jin Nation in Mo Wench's quiet room. A man urges the fairy-like writer to submit her manuscript before deadline. She snaps back while scribbling, telling him not to rush her. He advises her to stop exaggerating. Her books sell poorly. Unlike today's practical trend, Mosanzi slams her face on the table, annoyed yet stubbornly following her tastes. She suddenly remembers something important and asks. He reports the academy will soon enroll students. Hearing this, she jumps up happily. She can finally join the famed school. 3 days later, the scene changes to a towering peak. Daibin kneels, blood on his lips, lamenting he can't comprehend it despite 3 bouts of vomiting blood. He looks at the text, sorrowfully blaming his poor aptitude. He forces himself up, exhausted yet unwilling to quit. He sets a goal to train nearly all day. He urges himself to compensate with hard work since he lacks talent. Under scorching sun, he persists in the odd posture. Pondering principles, he keeps the pose till night, wondering what level perception must reach. Next day he contemplates various eyes and the nature of insight. He recalls the Dharma eye as the ability to see hidden laws. He reminds himself to elevate thought to reach that realm. Gritting teeth, he concludes the highest essence is the Alski Dharma eye. A spark suddenly flares in his mind. He freezes, softly saying he has found a clue. He gazes at the horizon as if seeing a path open. He continues pondering that the vast sky is merely a metaphor for the mindscape. Yibing realizes the Godaman intent lies within one's own heart. He pats his chest in relief, blaming himself for nearly missing enlightenment. Yibing stays devout, believing Guanqin means gazing inward to find one's inner Godaman. Mountain wind passes as he spreads his arms to feel nature's breath. He snaps his eyes open, gaze sharp enough to cut the night. A 10-armed golden Godaman appears before him. He confirms in shock it is his own power's avatar. At the academy's rear mountain, a bright falling star omen startles everyone. One man cheers, calling it the descent of a divine rank, but he is scolded by his Shixiang for acting unlike the righteous path. He argues celestial signs can decide everything. Shixiang cuts him off, telling him to keep observing the heavens. The man says a true golden seed cannot be hidden. The omen intensifies, stars falling like a rain of light. In the great Xia Palace, the emperor watches the sky coldly. A beauty asks what to do if the divine rank doesn't appear in Great Saya. She awaits his answer as he contemplates. The emperor replies Esily to simply seize it under heaven belongs to Great Saya. Over the ice-wisp beastlands, the sky also erupts with omens. The frozen land grows eerier under the falling stars. A black beast lies beside a silent man. He watches the sky with blade-sharp eyes. He smirks murderously, treating the divine rank as a worthy foe. He draws his sword, slashing as if shattering ice mountains. Scene shifts to Tuchanjiu. He reads a secret manual until his face pales but forces himself on. He growls in frustration, pounding the ground. He sighs, thinking his Shifu is an even bigger worry than failing cultivation. Taiwa Zenrin's redeemed demand for sword debt repayment haunts him. He shivers, knowing that money-hungry face won't spare him. He looks at the falling stars, feeling heavier inside, leaning on rock, smoking. He wonders what his purpose is. Down the mountain, his Shimiya pities his lonely silhouette. She wonders why her Dashixing stargazes quietly every night. She guesses his burden by worries. She glances at Hua Licheng, asking him to speak up. The second Shixing opens his eyes, blaming Tuchanjiu for impatience with the junior. He decides to teach tomorrow in the senior's stead, answering Shimei respectfully. Meanwhile, Yibing keeps analyzing the Godaman form in the manual. He sinks deep into meditation. Forgetting time, he he suddenly rises in joy, realizing this method suits him. In his mind, the Tenarm Godaman towers in vast might. He faces its awe-inspiring gaze directly. Golden light descends onto him. A torrent of cultivation knowledge floods his mind. Yet in reality only silent darkness surrounds him. He opens his eyes, now blazing with vitality. He stands and reflects on the method's meaning. The primordial Godaman art has 5 realms from minor to ancestral Godaman. Drawing on Heaven-Earth essence, his current stage needs 81 body forgings to reach minor Godaman physique. Its core is using heaven and earth as a furnace, absorbing Q to temper an unyielding Godaman body. The process is brutal, grinding the body and demanding iron will. He reminds himself that the stronger the art, the harsher the trials, but Yibing panics because he has no Kai to channel heaven and earth. He considers using pills to create temporary Ki, but recalling their toxicity, he avoids the risk and plans to ask the alchemist studying second Shixiang. In the second Shixiang's room, the lamp burns all night. Huolaching is refining a pill radiating lively Ki. He calms himself, vowing to stay steady and find that clan envoy tomorrow. Next morning at Tu Changji's place, he sits in misery again. He bows to the floor, too dejected to look up, eyes bulging, mouth agape. He wants to scream, he understands nothing. He flops down then jumps up, deciding to ignore everything. Has so fed up he thinks not trying means no failure chasing him. Just then Taihua Zenran enters to a baffling scene. He asks whether Changju has grasped the 9,000 tael beginner sword art. Changju sneers that understanding or not makes no difference. As he finishes, light bursts around him, shocking his Shifu. He says calmly he achieved nothing, has simply no longer bothered. Taihua Zenran sighs and tells him to go to the Jinglan mountain range. He sternly says life and death tempering will help him break through, and hell escort him personally. Changji jolts up in fright, stammering the name of that place. It's Kingju's most perilous zone, full of slaughtering spirit beasts. Shifu coldly says hell escort him. Hunt beasts for money, and won't ask Yibing for paintings anymore? Tu Changju panics and bolts, shouting life matters more than climbing deadly peaks. At Zilei Sword Sect, the grand scenery lies serene and majestic. In the main hall, a man praises the assessment results. 7 reach great accomplishment and perfection. 2 touch the Swordao peak. He proudly lauds Kingju's genius generation, then solemnly warns this grand event is unusually urgent. Disciples whisper since the sect master rarely teaches personally. The overseer orders them to just aim for top 10 without asking why. News of hidden sects joining makes everyone tense. Someone notes hidden sects inherit Dao lineages far above Zilei Sword Sect. Soon after, the sect hall gathers the elders. They salute the sect master. The sect master, bearing twin swords, announces a grave matter. Elders press him about the incident and the Taixuan Sword Tower order. He says it's unrelated to the tower, something even more serious. A female elder mentions the Tenation Academy, a legendary pinnacle of the immortal path. She says it's so strict it hasn't accepted new students for decades. She suspects Jin Kingdom's court sent an envoy to recruit the sect master confirms. The news shocks all elders, who ask who was chosen. The sect master explains the imperial court rivals upper sects, while Kingju's sects lag behind its prestige. He reveals the portrait Yibing once drew of Tu Changju to the elders. The painting shows exquisite strokes clearly marked with Kinglian Hermit's style. Before elders grasp the point, the sect master says Kinglian Hermit vanished half a year ago. One guesses he hid in a small sect, but the female elder denies it. The sect master speaks of Taixu Sword Venerable, a former academy prodigy now Jin Kingdom's inspector envoy. He stresses that person is stunningly beautiful and should never be obscure in Jin Kingdom. A white-haired elder asks for solid proof. The sect master smiles confidently, saying he has evidence. He tosses the portrait into the air. It shines, unleashing sword intent swirling into a vortex. The elders are forced back by its power, inwardly shaken. The sect master glares, asking if they still dare doubt. He explains the sword intent in the painting could only be inscribed by the person depicted. The elders praise the sect master's insight. He grows solemn, saying there is another key reason. He says the inspector envoy loves roaming and once sold a national treasure for money. The painting sold in Beigo ancient city matches perfectly. The elders nod, then ask how to win favor with such a high expert. The head sect master firmly refuses, warning not to flatter high beings since they find it annoying. He inwardly praises himself as the sect's pillar of wisdom. In the quiet night, Yibing meditates at the rear mountain to steady his mind. He weighs the danger of ancient body forging and wants to ask to Shixiang before using pills. As he hesitates, a cold figure appears second Shixiang Huolaching. He introduces himself and tells Yibing to call him Shixiang Laiching. Yibing observes curiously. Surprised the second Shixiang came to him, he quickly salutes and greets Shixiang Laiching respectfully. Laiching says Da Shixiang entrusted him to teach alchemy. Yibing worries his talent might be too poor. Laiching cuts him off, saying Da Shixiang just lacks teaching experience and tells him not to be discouraged. Yibing resolves to train hard to earn Da Shixiang's approval. Laiching nods and taps the air lightly. A massive alchemy furnace appears, radiating dense. Yibing is stunned. While Laiching urges him to begin learning, he nods seriously. Before the furnace, Laiching explains alchemy encompasses heaven-earth principles and asks his view on the peak alchemist. The question makes Yi Bing ponder the essence of an alchemist's power. He recalls Tu Changji once asking about the Sordal limit. He answers the strongest alchemist creates a pill that drives experts mad with desire. He says pills can extend lifespan, earning universal respect and reliance. Leiching says his grasp is shallow but his thinking bold. Yi Bing adds that pills can reshape talent and raise someone to the summit. Leiching shakes his head, saying the highest alchemy realm is fusing the cosmos, making each pill a world. Yi Bing freezes, horrified by such heaven refining. He remembers stories he's read but none with alchemy so terrifying. Excitement rises as he sees alchemy stands equal to Sordo. Yet he stays calm and asks Leiching says has near that realm. Yi Bing is shaken, thinking the sect is full of hidden powerhouses. Meanwhile, Leiching admits to himself his bragging out a habit from Tu Changju. He gets a mischievous idea, telling Yi Bing to try using heaven and earth to refine pills. Outwardly stern, he says he can only teach basics now and asks if Yi Bing understands. Leiching acts mysterious, saying he'll teach a non-toxic method leaving no side effects. Inside he cries, fearing others will learn he bragged too much. He adds that toxicity and medicinal force always coexist in all materials, and to be non-toxic, one must remove all medicinal ingredients. Yi Bing stares, confused how to refine without ingredients. Leiching, sensing it, hints that the absurd is often the gate to secret arts. He likens it to a sword immortal splitting heaven unbelievable to mortals. Yi Bing realizes his narrow view, calling himself a frog in a well. Leiching nods in agreement. He explains medicinal herbs' essence is primordial Qi, but as they grow they gain impurities, so non-toxic alchemy means gathering pure Q to make supreme pills. Yi Bing is still dazed but finds it logical that herbs are just altered Qi. He asks it, lacking a spirit root, he can use Qi refining pills to supplement power. Leiching says yes, but they're ruinously expensive. Raising a spirit meridian that way burns through pills beyond even great sex budgets. Yi Bing is disappointed, seeing his Q problem unchanged. Leiching cuts off his thoughts and starts basic alchemy lessons. Yi Bing replies at once. He secretly praises Yi Bing's obedience and compares himself to Tu Changju in teaching. The forest sinks into darkness. Taiwa Zenran and Tu Changju stroll calmly through the dense mountains. Tu Changju worries whether leaving Leiching home to teach the junior is okay. Shifu confidently says Leiching always stays composed. Cold gust passes, making Tu Changju shiver. A strange sound behind makes him whirl and shout. A small white rabbit suddenly hops out of a bush. Tu Changju blushes in shame as Shifu laughs loudly at his fear. But then a massive beast like a mountain peak appears with earth-shaking aura. Dawn breaks, golden light covering the mountains. Yi Bing stretches as he wakes. He gazes at the distant sky, marveling at the forest's calm and Qi. He sighs that he still has no Qi despite grasping alchemy basics. Walking downhill, he reminds himself to study cultivation theory and plans to visit the library pavilion. Soon he reaches the simple, quiet archive that soothes his mind. He admires the rustic style of the hidden sect, seeing only one incense stick. He wonders if the sect is too frugal. He quickly dismisses the thought and laughs, gazing at the lone incense. He ponders sincerity and ritual. The door creaks softly as Yi Bing pushes inside. Entering, he scans every corner, passing the shelves. He sees manuals with heroic titles. Beside them lie even fiercer arts and divine abilities. His stunned such treasures are displayed so casually. Picking one at random, he exclaims in delight, feeling has found his dream sect. After the daze, he reminds himself to stay calm. He closes his eyes and takes a deep breath, then selects a volume, telling himself to learn step by step. Morning light awakens Yi Bing. He mutters that it's fully dawn. He thinks he merely meditated, but it's already time to train again. After a night studying, he grasps the world's structure and cultivation methods. His shock that the mortal dynasty wields power surpassing many immortal sects through sheer resources. He looks up and laments choosing cultivation over passing exams to serve as an official. But recalling the hidden sect's fortune, he comforts himself that fate shifts. As he muses, a gentle voice calls out. A pure-tempered young woman appears, asking kindly about him. She introduces herself as Chen Lingru, his senior Shiji. Yi Bing blushes, eyes bright in awe of her beauty. Seeing his flushed cheeks, she curiously asks he blames the heat. She smiles, encouraging him and promising to teach him superior Dao arts in a few days. Hearing great Dao, he wonders if Shiji is also a hidden expert, but he dismisses it, noting she seems very young. Remembering something important, he asks for guidance. He shows a secret manual and asks if it's cultivable. Chen Lingru frowns at the unfamiliar title, never having heard of it. Outwardly confident, she assures him it's perfectly fine to cultivate. Yi Bing asks if training without Qi risks deviation. She insists it's just a basic method and can't be dangerous. Inside, she scoffs that those books are fakes, far from causing harm. Suddenly Yi Bing's face lights up, eyes brimming, making her worry. He chokes up, saying he's simply overjoyed to tears.